सर।
हाँ, देवेंद्र बाबू नमस्कार।
सर तिवारी जी नमस्कार।
तिवारी जी नमस्कार। नमस्कार तिवारी जी
नमस्ते
नमस्कार।
नमस्ते सर।
शुक्ला जी नमस्कार।
नमस्ते सर।
तिवारी जी
जी जी प्रणाम प्रणाम।
नमस्कार।
सर
चौधरी जी
नमस्कार।
नमस्कार
नमस्कार नमस्कार।
देवेंद्र बाबू नमस्कार जी।
सर हमारे बोध गया से हमारे
तिवारी जी नमस्कार। नमस्कार तिवारी जी
साहब भी जुड़ गए हैं।
नमस्ते
नमस्कार।
नमस्ते सर।
शुक्ला जी नमस्कार। नमस्कार देवेंद्र जी। तिवारी जी
धन्यवाद।
देवेंद्र जी
जी,
नमस्कार।
जी, प्रणाम प्रणाम।
नमस्कार।
सर
चौधरी जी
नमस्कार।
नमस्कार
नमस्कार नमस्कार।
संजय झा जी, देवेंद्र बाबू नमस्कार जी।
सर हमारे बोध गया से हमारे
तिवारी जी नमस्कार। नमस्कार तिवारी जी नमस्कार।
साहब भी जुड़ गए हैं।
नमस्ते नमस्ते सर।
शुक्ला जी नमस्कार। नमस्कार देवेंद्र जी। तिवारी जी
धन्यवाद।
देवेंद्र जी नमस्कार।
आप सभी को मेरा प्रणाम।
नमस्कार।
सर
पाठक जी मेरा भी प्रणाम।
राम राम सभी मेरा
नमस्कार नमस्कार।
संजय झा जी, देवेंद्र बाबू नमस्कार जी।
तिवारी जी नमस्कार। नमस्कार तिवारी जी नमस्कार।
जय माता दी जय माता दी। आप लोगों का आशीर्वाद है सब।
नमस्कार
मैं बिल्कुल स्वस्थ हो गया हूँ।
तिवारी जी देवेंद्र जी नमस्कार।
आप सभी को मेरा प्रणाम। बड़े भाई सबका आशीर्वाद राम सबका और मैं बिल्कुल इसीलिए पहले माता जी के मैं आशीर्वाद लेने जय माता दी जय माता दी। आशीर्वाद है सब। मैं स्वस्थ हो गया हूँ। आप सभी को मेरा प्रणाम। धन्यवाद सर धन्यवाद। बड़े भाई सबका आशीर्वाद राम सर इसीलिए पहले माता जी के मैं आशीर्वाद जय माता दी आशीर्वाद है सब। हो गया आप सभी को मेरा प्रणाम। धन्यवाद सर धन्यवाद।
संजय जी अभी संजय जी अभी हमारा स्वामी साहब अमर संजय गुड आफ्टरनून स्वामी साहब। गुड आफ्टरनून। हमारा स्वामी साहब गुड इवनिंग टू एवरीवन। नमस्कार नमस्कार। Now time is up. So please let the convener Dr. Kumara Swami Swastar make your audio in a silent mode. नमस्कार नमस्कार। Now time is up. So please let the convener Kumara Swami Swastar make your
listen to the founder of the Orange Job. In that sense, we have the 14th episode on and here we have Orange and I request to get permission to proceed founder former program head department of MS University of Baroda, Gujarat is the president of this session. Professor, and I request Ram. Professor Singha. That sense, now I request Professor Farooq Singh, Head Department of Vidya University, Jharkhand, to give welcome address.
Thank you. Sabko pranam. Thank you, organizer, inviting me for welcome address. Good evening. A big thank to each and every one present for signing our program. I have great privilege and immense pleasure to welcome such an august gathering of a stellar geographical personality of India on the Google virtual platform of founders and organizers modern writing in India 14th episode. I heartily welcome the Honorable President of today's meeting, Mr. R.M.B. Sinha, MS University, Baroda. I also cordially welcome our Chief Guest, Mr. B.S. Khadge, Mumbai University. I warm welcome to convener of the meeting, a generous persona in geography. I heartily welcome Professor K. Kumaraswamy, Bharati Dashan University. I want to welcome our guest of honor, a dynamic personality, Mr. A.K. Bhagwati from Guwahati University, Assam. I welcome distinguished guest of honor, affable Professor M.M. Paul of Jammu University. I welcome respected President Nadib, Sir Rana Pratap, Magadh University. That is my alma mater. I welcome the Devasians from Guwahati, Professor D.B. Devli. I welcome host of hands. I friendly welcome to Professor Ramkumar Tiwari from Ranchi University, who is going to escape the contribution in modern geography. I acknowledge figure in geography, not only in Nagpur Plateau, but all over the world. That is Inayat Ahmed. He contributed a lot through his scholarly teaching and effective writing. I welcome man of the series and devoted to geography world, Professor D. Chowdhury of the Magadh University, Bodh Gaya, who is going to talk about contribution given by he contributed a doyen in geographical knowledge. And I welcome all members and joining in this meeting. Each and every person is our estate for founders of geography. Thank you all again. Thank you sir. सभी को मेरा प्रणाम.
Thank you, Professor Farooq Singh, for giving the welcome address. We have a galaxy of professors from geography. To proceed further on talking about Professor Inayat Ahmed and Professor Ram Pravesh Singh. Both of them are from Ranchi University. And we have heard about various personalities who worked on the modern geography from various institutions for the past 13 episodes. And today we are assembled here to listen to the eminent speakers on the contributions of the Ranchi University to the knowledge of Indian geography. So in that sense, we have two personalities. One is Professor Ram Tiwari, who is going to talk about Professor Inayat Ahmed, and Professor Devendra Singh talk on Professor Ram Pravesh Singh. So both the speakers are well known to us, and we have been listening to their contributions and their interaction in various episodes. In that sense, I would like to welcome both of them. And here I would like to say that we are almost nearing to 100 years of Indian geography. And if you look at carefully, the geography department established in Pakistan, and then moved to India in various centers, and then the graduate study, and then postgraduate study, and then the faculty members, the previous faculty members who contributed, and then the association, and so many things. So in that sense, we have only limited knowledge. The reason was that we did not have some kind of say the journal or specific associations or records maintained by various departments. In that sense, I could appreciate the work of Professor N. Subramaniam, one who was working in Chennai as a teacher in teacher training college side of it, who meticulously started the association, Madras Geographical Association back in 1925, and also started the journal, and in which he contributed one section on notes and views. It means he collected the information once in 3 months, and he has narrated all the events. So that has become a history to understand the development of modern geography. So I am reading all these volumes from volume number 1 to the present one. Now we have 92 volumes coming out, and we are going to celebrate the centenary. So likewise, if several associations are there, and if they have some records, probably that will be say the golden chapter for us to proceed further. So in that sense, Professor Suresh Yamya has accepted my proposal of visit 2020 to 2030 is the centenary celebration decade, and because it may need a few years to gear up, because we had the COVID-19 and we have to come out of this, and probably in a couple of years we will start maybe the centenary celebration decade will continue up to 2030. So we have enough time to contribute on books, to contribute on organizing seminars, workshops, and so many things are there. So here we have to praise the works of the unsung heroes who have contributed selflessly for the development of modern geography. So I welcome all of you, and then I don't want to waste my time, and then let me invite the first speaker, Professor Ramkit Tiwari, the former program head, Department of Geography of Ranchi University, Ranchi, talk on Professor N.S. Ahmed in particular, and Professor can also talk about the development of geography in various faculty members in the Ranchi University or other universities. I welcome Professor Tiwari.
Thank you, sir. First, I would like to thank the founding members of founders and makers of modern geography in India for giving me this rare opportunity to speak about the life and work of Dr. Inayat Ahmed. Thank you, sir. I'd like to extend my gratitude towards Mr. President, Chief Guest. I would like to thank the founding distinguished guest of honors of modern geography, and the technical support person for this program. I welcome all the members attending this program. Before we come to speak about Dr. Inayat Ahmed, it would be apt to touch upon the progress of geographical knowledge or thought in the context of India as well as the world. In brief, you can see the view of Western and Indian scholars in the slide running on the screen. The modern period starts at 18th century when India witnesses influx of Europeans, and that marks the beginning of modern geography in India. 18th and 19th century saw limited growth of geography as a subject and was mostly confined to school-level education during this 200-year period. 20th century saw the advent of postgraduate level education of geography in India. This developed in 3 stages, but we will focus on the first stage for relevance. First stage means 1920 to 1925. During this time period, independent departments of geography were established in Aligarh, Calcutta, Banaras, Allahabad, Madras, Ludhiana, Patna, Sagar, Pune, and Ranchi. And the founders, in the form of head of the department, were Bahadur Rahman Khan, S.T. Chatterjee, H.L. Chitbat, R.N. Dubey, George Kurian, A.N. Kapoor, S.C. Chatterjee, S.A. Ali, B.S. Gananathan, and Dr. Enayat Ahmed respectively. Ranchi University was 10th in this sequence, and we can comfortably call them the first generation of Indian geographers. It is a coincidence that the first university to establish the Department of Geography in India was Aligarh Muslim University, and Dr. Ahmed, who as a student and later teacher of this university, established the last department of its first stage, coincident Ranchi University. It is remarkable that until 1954, university level education was not available anywhere in Jharkhand. Towards the end of 19th century, in the year 1899, this region got its first college at St. Columbus College. In the following 50 years, only 5 colleges were established in this region: St. Columbus College, St. Xavier College Ranchi, Ranchi College Ranchi, Cooperative College Jamshedpur, and Ranchi Women's College. These colleges were offering geography as a subject till the graduation level. Postgraduate in geography course started in Ranchi University as 1954 to 1956 as the first session. This department was affiliated to Bihar University at that time. Dr. Enayat Ahmed joined this university as reader in geography and subsequently established the postgraduate department and served as the head of the department. However, Ram Pravesh also served briefly for a few months, probably from July 1954 to January 1955 as a reader and head of the department. As he had not finished his PhD, he left for London to pursue his research work. Dr. Ahmed served as the head of the department in the PG Department of Geography in Ranchi University till his retirement for a duration of 28 years. Now, the early life of Dr. Enayat Ahmed. Before we discuss the professional life of Dr. Ahmed, let us explore some interesting aspect of his early life. Dr. Enayat Ahmed was born in an elite family in Harpur village of Raghunathpur block in Siwan district, Bihar, on 1st August 1923. Interestingly, renowned geographer Dr. R.L. Dwivedi. His father's name was Muhammad Umar. Dr. Ahmad was home-schooled by his father till the age of 8 years. After that, in 1931, he was sent to Anglo-Sanskrit High School in Standard 4. The school was located in Basti, Gorakhpur. He was a brilliant student since the beginning and always secured first position in every examination he took in the school. He had an innate love for geography, and while playing on the white sandbanks of the Gandaki River in his village, he would spend hours drawing the map of India on the sands. He took a keen interest in gardening, sketching, and was adept in Persian language. In 1938, he managed to secure the 4th rank among 22,000 students of Uttar examination. The principal of his school, B.N. Chakravarti, once mentioned about him, this student is deeply religious without any discrimination. He started his intermediate education in college under Aligarh Muslim University in 1938. He secured first class second rank in the intermediate examination in 1940. He secured first class first in geography honors examination in 1943. He came across a poem, Ode on a Grecian Urn by Keats while he was studying in his graduation. He was delighted to see this as a line from the poem, "Beauty is truth and truth is beauty," was his favorite when he was a student of Standard 6. It was a pleasant surprise for him to see his favorite poem of his childhood in his graduation textbook. He later told this to his colleague Dr. Pradyuman Pandey, who has mentioned this in his edited book, Modern Geographical Trends. There is another interesting incident. When he was studying in Standard 10, one day all students were asked to write an essay on what do you want to become later in your life. Dr. Ahmad wrote, he wants to become a lecturer in geography in Aligarh Muslim University. And this wish came true nearly 7 years later. While this may be a mere coincidence, a divine intervention cannot be denied. In 1945, he passed his MA in geography with a first class first rank and got appointed as a lecturer in geography in the same university. Sayyid Muhammad Tahir Rizvi was the head of the department in the Department of Geography at that time. Exactly after 1 year, in 1946, he joined London School of Economics to pursue his PhD. George Kurian and Dr. Parmeshwar Dayal were also pursuing their research work from the same institution at that time. Dr. M. Safi, who was a year younger than Dr. Ahmad, had also joined Aligarh Muslim University as a lecturer in year 1948. In London, OHK Spate was the PhD guide for Dr. Ahmad. However, he was getting immense support and guidance from LD Stamp as well. The topic for his PhD was rural settlement in United Province of Agra and Awadh. His research work had great significance as it marked the beginning of the study of settlement geography in India. He completed his PhD work in the scheduled duration of 2 years in 1949. His thesis was subsequently published as a book by classical publication as Social and Geographical Aspects of Human Settlement. It is relevant to mention that Dr. Aspect himself was so impressed by his work that in his writing he mentioned that Dr. Ahmad was one of the few talented students that he met in his lifetime. He also described Dr. Ahmad's thesis as the best and most detailed dissertation on settlements. The return of Dr. Ahmad to India after finishing his PhD work marks the end of his student life, and so does the description of his early life. Now, Dr. Ahmad as a professor. Upon his return to India after finishing his PhD in 1949, Dr. Ahmad joined the Department of Geography in Patna University as a lecturer. This is the time when postgraduate studies in geography were getting introduced across Bihar. The head of the department at the time was Dr. S.C. Chatterjee. Later, in 1951, Dr. P. Dayal succeeded Dr. Chatterjee. This was the place these three got closely acquainted. Dr. P. was a student in BA honors course in Patna University at that time. Later, he took over the head of the department in Ranchi University after the retirement of Dr. Inayat Ahmad. Dr. Ahmad served as a lecturer in Patna University for the period of 1949 to 1954. The post was considered as a second-grade officer under Bihar Education Service. It is common understanding that he would have started his writing journey while teaching here, as he got around 8 research articles published during this time. However, he has also written a research article while he was a student in 1944. Title of the article is Land Use Survey in India, which was published in Geographical Journal, Madras. The research article published by Dr. Ahmad during this time period were mostly focused on geographical thought, land use, settlement geography, river and soil geography, and rural geography. These articles were published by reputed journals in Madras, Aligarh, Patna, America, and earned him many accolades. His reputation was getting established across India and also outside India. After 6 years of return at Patna University, he was promoted as a reader and sent to Ranchi College as the head of the department for postgraduate teaching. Ranchi College was under Bihar University at that time. 22nd January 1955 was the day Dr. Ahmad took charge, the head of the department in Ranchi College, Ranchi. Little did the scholar knew this would be the last leg of the long journey he took from Harpur village to Aligarh, London, and Patna. He came to Ranchi and remained here for the rest of his life. He chose Doranda in the southern part of the city as his residence, while the college was located the northernmost part of Ranchi. He used to commute mostly on rickshaw to his college, but he could be often seen walking to work from his residence as well. No one had ever seen him driving any kind of vehicle. It was a common musing between students. If you see a slender gentleman in a white suit walking slowly in the main road, lost in his own thoughts, he must be Dr. Inayat Ahmad. Now, journey as an author of Dr. Ahmad. As we have already discussed, Dr. Ahmad had started writing when he was a student and had his first article published in 1944 while studying in MA. After this, he added around 8 articles till 1954. After taking charge in Ranchi College, he wrote an article in the college journal, Geography and Planning. The release ceremony was being held in the auditorium of Ranchi College, and the principal of the college introduced Dr. Ahmad as the new head of the department and asked him to say a few words on the stage. The speech that followed spellbound the audience and established the genius of Dr. Ahmad across the university as a great scholar. I personally have revered this genius scholar since my student time and was a huge admirer of his writings. His work was always inspired me to a huge extent. He wrote 12 books and around 64 research articles during his lifetime. His articles got published across most reputed journals in India and abroad. Out of these, greatest number of articles were published in Geographical Outlook, which was published by the Department of Geography and edited by himself. He also published a geographical bulletin from the department on a regular basis. Starting from 1956, Geographical Outlook was established under the editorship of Dr. Ahmad under Bihar University. After the establishment of Ranchi University in 1960, the journal started belonging to Ranchi University. It was only a research journal being published in Bihar until 1977, when the publication of Geographical Bulletin of India started. Let us now discuss the books written by Dr. Inayat Ahmad. one by one. Dr. Ahmad has written 12 books during his lifetime. He was a top-notch writer and started writing early since his student life. His first book was collection of his research article written during his teaching life. The book was titled Geographical Essay on India and was published by publisher Taj Ahmad of Patna in 1952. One of the articles in the book, Village Survey, remained a guiding light for students, researchers, and teachers for a long time. This book had 5 chapters running across 107 pages. Bihar, Physical, Economic, and Regional Geography was the second book by Dr. Ahmad. This book was published by Ranchi University in 1965. This was the first ever book published on the geography of Bihar and also been the best of its class among other books written on this subject. It was an internationally acclaimed book and been appreciated globally. The Royal Geographical Society published a review of this book in its journal and mentioned this book is a challenging work and has depth and invoke deep thoughts. O.H.K. Speight and Lear Montaigne in their renowned book, India and Pakistan, describe the book as a new standard in state geography. A journal published from Canada described this book as excellent. Coastal Geomorphology of India is the third book by Dr. Ahmad, which was published by Orient and Longman in 1972 from New Delhi. This book is a masterpiece on Indian coastal geomorphology. This book provides an extensive, original, factual, and scientific analysis of the geomorphological characteristics of coastal India. As Dr. Ahmad writes in the foreword of this book, the most important reason detail for this book is the non-existence of any work of this nature, whether of Indian or foreign origin, and the practical absence of such literature. This book has been appreciated worldwide. The fourth book by Dr. Ahmad, Soil Erosion of India, was published in 1973 by Asia Publishing House, New Delhi. This book is full of original, informative, and modern concepts. This book has done quantitative analysis of the distribution and the causes of soil erosion in a comprehensive way. This book is one of the first important books on the topic. This book is an amazing creation by Dr. Ahmad. Some aspects of Indian geography published by Central Book Depot, Allahabad in 1976 is the fifth book of Dr. Inayat Ahmad. This book is a collection of 28 research articles written by Dr. Ahmad, published during the year 1945 and 1970 across Indian and foreign journals. Dr. Ahmad writes in the preface of this book, the purpose of reproducing the matter is to make advisable to geographers and those specializing in broader sciences a series of studies representing many facts of geography. He further writes, there is an ongoing trend in the Western countries to publish a collection of articles as reading or essay. This book is a simplified effort of the same. This book is divided into 10 sections, each dedicated to different branches of geography, and research articles has been placed into each corresponding section. Regional planning with special reference to India is the sixth book of Dr. Ahmad. It has been co-authored by Dr. Devendra Kumar Singh and published in 1980 by Oriental and Distributors, New Delhi, in 2 volumes. The first volume consists of 268 pages and is further subdivided in 2 parts. The first part is dedicated to the general concepts of regional planning, while the second part is dedicated to the regional planning with reference to India. The second volume is dedicated to regional planning with particular reference to India. The second volume is 149 pages long and is divided into 16 chapters. This book was written with financial aid and the fellowship by UGC under the scheme to write books for higher levels. The book incorporates the famous concept of growth pole given by Parrocks in 1950 in Indian context. This is the most important feature of this book. The 7th book of Dr. Ahmad, Social and Geographical Aspects of Human Settlement, was published in 1981 by Classical Publisher, New Delhi. This book was based on the PhD thesis of the Dr. Ahmad titled Rural Settlement in the United Province of Agra and Awadh. The title was changed in order to incorporate the essence of the entire research and make it more relevant. O.H.K. Spade has described this book as an extensive study of settlement geography in context of India. This book was first to study rural housing types, village models, origin and development of cities, their function and structure in such great detail. This book is still quoted extensively in the research work in settlement geography in India. 8th book of Dr. Anayat Ahmad was published in 1982 by Kalyani Publisher, New Delhi, with title Physical Geography. This book incorporates the basic concepts of geophysics with relatively small in size, with only 159 pages. This book is a perfect example of small but effective publication. This book describes origin of Earth, internal structure of Earth, isostacy, plate tectonic, origin of mountain and other landforms in its 7th chapter very effectively in a precise manner. The 9th book of Dr. Ahmad was translated one. He translated the physical geography by Monk House to Urdu under the Tarakki-e-Urdu program run by the Education Department of Indian government in 1970. Under the same program, he translated another book to Urdu, Human Geography by Vidal de la Blas, which was published as his 11th book in 1974. Geomorphology was the 12th book by Dr. Ahmad. It was published in 1985 by Kalyani Publisher, New Delhi. This is a pioneer book in geomorphology. The most important feature of this book is that it is filled with example and citation from India. Geography of Himalaya is another book by Dr. Ahmad, published by Kalyani Publisher, New Delhi in 1990. This book is a collection of the research article written by Dr. Ahmad on Himalaya as their central theme. The research article compiled in this book are mostly published in Geographical Outlook journal published by the Department of Geography, Ranchi University. The first article in the book was titled Population Distribution on the Himalaya and was published in 1973 in Geographical Outlook. Other prominent articles compiled in this book are Geography of Outer Himachal Pradesh, Trans-Himalayan Nepal, the Structure and Geography, Geography of Bhabar Zone of India, Himalayas Medical Geography, the Age and Cause of Himalayas, Service Area of Himalayan Town, Himalayan Soil and Himalayan Climate. The final article of this book, Extent, Physiography and Structure of Himalaya, was published in the book Contemporary Geography, edited by Dr. D.P. Satpathy in 1988, published by the Department of Geography, Ranchi University. This article and the book were the last publication by Dr. Anayat Ahmad. He stopped writing due to health reason after this. Dr. Ahmad's books are lucid, informative, original, and very analytical. His book and research works remain a shining light in the path of geographers even today. Now, about the research guidance by Dr. Ahmad. The genius of Dr. Ahmad continues to reflect in his research guidance.
Professor Tiwari, don't try to be encyclopedic. I think focus on something which I think should be focused, rather than, I think, telling all these things. These are not required.
Sir, probably you can give the number of students or number of projects.
Okay, sir. Okay. Now, at last, I would like to highlight some noteworthy achievement of Dr. Ahmad. First is Dr. Ahmad was the first Indian who got published in Annals of the Association of American Geographers. Article published was Rural Settlement Types in UP. Second is, he was probably the first one in India to supervise a delete in geography He supervised Dr. Ajudhya Prasad for the same. Third one is he was the first professor of Ranchi University, Ranchi. Now you can see the list of publications, the following slides. We have already seen the list of books in the previous slides. Here is only the list of research articles as well as research journals where the articles were published. Thank you, sir.
So thank you very much, Professor Ramkumar Tiwari sir. You have given a detailed account of personal life and then the academic, the contributions of Professor Ahmed. It's extraordinary. Probably time is very limited, and therefore you can give whatever the lists or the contributions in writing to Professor Devendra Prasad Singh so that it will be published and we will come to know about this. Thank you very much once again. And let me now invite Professor Devendra Prasad Singh to talk about the great personality, Ram Pravesh Singh of, the Ranchi University. Now, Professor.
Well, thank you, sir. Good evening to all of the people assembled here, right from Kanyakumari to the Srinagar, right from Gujarat to Northeast. First of all, with the permission of the chair, I have to focus a great gemologist of the country, Professor Ram Pravesh Singh. He was also awarded Bhugol Ratna from Nagi, got his PhD from Aligarh, got his MA degree from Aligarh Muslim University, and obtained his doctoral degree from London School of Economics under great geographer of the time, Professor L.D. Stam. Professor Singh was a very handsome, very charming, and very lovely person. Professor Singh was born on the 1st of December 1916 at village and post office Ayara, district Gaya, now Jehanabad, Bihar. His father, the late Sri Sanjeevan Singh, belonged to the landed peasantry, who visualized the potentials of the young Ram Pravesh and left no stones unturned for his good schooling in Patna Collegiate School. R.P. Singh graduated from Patna College of Patna University in 1938. He then joined the Aligarh Muslim University in 1939 and earned his master's degree in geography in 1941. In 1954, he proceeded to the UK and obtained his doctorate in geomorphology under the superb guidance of the late Professor Sir Lawrence Dudley Stam of London School of Economics of London University, London. After the completion, doctoral degree from London School of Economics, London University, his doctorate thesis entitled Geomorphological Evolution of the Highlands of Chota Nagpur and its adjoining districts in Bihar earned him great applause. The late Professor Sir Dudley Stam, the supervisor, considered his thesis as a pioneer work in the field of geomorphology of India. He wrote, Stam wrote, I have a high opinion of him as a research worker. He applied methods of geomorphological research in the interpretation of the landforms of Chota Nagpur Plateau, pioneering work in his particular field for the first time in India. He carried out a good deal of original field work and combined this with a critical examination of cartographical material and relevant literatures. After the completion of his PhD course and obtaining the degree of doctorate, he returned to the Geography Department of Ranchi College, but not as its head. During his stay in London, Professor Inayat Ahmad, another giant of Indian geography of the time, was posted as the head of the Department of Geography of Ranchi College. Professor Singh was a great field geomorphologist. Indeed, his devotion to geomorphology is without any parallel. He had been a serious student of Indian geomorphology for more than 50 years and had contributed as many as 90 research papers, project reports, all on different facets of Indian geomorphology, that is, floods, soil erosion, drainage pattern, and stream orders, evolution of geomorphic landscape, inundation chronology, erosional surfaces, and applied geomorphology. His study of landscape of Southeast Chotanagpur and its evolution, published in the National Geographical Journal in 1957, along with his published PhD thesis entitled Geomorphological Evolution of Chotanagpur Highlands, India, paved the way for sound geomorphological research in India. Besides, he had 8 books, project reports to his credit, of his 2 in particular, namely the Geomorphological Evolution of Chotanagpur Highland, India, and Monograph of Bihar, have been well received in India and abroad also. Right? Scientific association. He has also associated with a number of geographical and scientific societies. He was president of the Council of Indian Geographers, Secretary, Geomorphology Section, International Geographical Congress, held at New Delhi, 1968. Member INC for cooperation with UNESCO for 3 years. He presided over several international and national seminars and made remarks as their chairpersons. He also held many administrative offices, which he adorned with distinction. Here, we can visualize the list of publications. First, his research papers, which consist more than 80, which are devoted to the various fields of geography and mainly with the geomorphology. His research articles were published since 1947. The Economy of Pakistan, which is the first research paper. Map India Divided but Independent was also published in 1947, in which he had critically examined and elaborated the division of the country, and he always explained to us that it was a very illegal division because the boundary of 2 countries crosses a village, some part of a village in India and another part of the village in Pakistan. And he, when met the OHK state, the member of the boundary commission, he told that you have divided a single plane in the 2 countries, and it is not geopolitically valid. He also studied flood problems of Bihar, and several articles related to the floods were also published in various respective journals. And the journey started, and each and every year, his papers were published in various national, international, and local journals, and all include about 80 or more than that. And most of them were related to the geomorphology, erosion surfaces, problem of soil erosion, landscape of Rajarappa, a study of man in Bihar, a study of a structural growth of Chotanagpur, landscape of Southeast Chotanagpur and its evolution, a structure, drainage, and morphology of Chotanagpur Highlands. he also visualized a steel city, and it was published in 1961, before the imagination or inception of the concept of localizing a steel factory. And the paper was published in the National Geographical Journal of India in 1957, entitled Bokaro, the Future Steel Town. And this was forecasted before the conceptualization of a steel plant in Bokaro. Similarly, he has also written about morphology of Bihar, and several research papers of Professor Singh were devoted to the morphology, structure, and physiography of Bihar. So he started writing research papers from 1947 and up to the late 80s, late 70s. He has been writing research papers. Until his last, he was also engaged with many writings, including many books and research papers. आगे बढ़ाइए, आवाज बढ़ाइए. Now the published books. Professor R.P. Singh has been written so many books, and more than a dozen were published, and many remained in manuscript form. And it is our duty to publish his manuscript, and we shall be trying our best, level best for that. His first book, and the most noteworthy, is the geomorphological evolution of the highlands of Chhota and the adjoining districts of Bihar. Actually, it is his PhD dissertation, and it was microfilmed in thesis series number 38232 by microfilm of his thesis. His first book, in which he was the co-author with his respected teacher, guru, Professor S.C. Chatterjee, and the book was My Work. The third book, Banijya Tatha Vyaparik Bhugol. Then the most significant and noted book, Geomorphological Evolution of Chhota Highlands, India, published by the National Geographical Society of India Research Bulletin of BHU Varanasi in 1969. And his another very applauded and popular book is Monograph of Bihar, published by Bharati Bhavan Patna. And this book is actually very, very important and noteworthy publication of geography of a state like Bihar. And people, researcher in many branches of knowledge, not only in geography, have been benefited by this book. And this book is mainly highlight the cartographic methodology, and researchers of geography are always follow the cartographic method of Professor Singh inscribed in this book. And I am happy to say that one man who was associated with the mapping of the book, my elder brother, Professor Rameswar Upadhyay, is also here, who has associated Professor Singh while preparing the maps of the book. And I have no hesitation is saying that Professor Dr. Rameswar Upadhyay was the man who has mapped all the maps of this book. Then another very important book, Manav Udbhav Tatha Prajatiye Adhyan, the Hindi Granth Academy Patna. His next book was Manav Bhugol, Hindi Granth Academy Patna. And he has written several chapters of physical, river, geography, etc. of Bihar District Gazetteer. And his last book was Land Use of Lohardaga, which was financed by the University Grant Commission in a project form. So these are his books. Here is the list of PhD produced by under the supervision of Professor R.P. Singh. Professor R.P. Singh has guided researchers from so many universities of Bihar. He has had guided scholars of Patna University, Bihar University Muzaffarpur, Bhagalpur University Patna, and Magadha University, and created a band of trained geographers who have made a mark in Indian geography. The researchers under other than Magadha University were Dr. Anil Kumar, one of the known geomorphologists of the country. His topic was geomorphological evolution of Simdega Highlands and its adjoining area. Then Professor Dr. Rameswar Prasad Sinha. He ultimately became the member of University Service Commission of Bihar, and his topic was industrial landscape of Chotnagpur Highland. Professor Pratap Sinha, Professor and Head Department of Geography, BRB University Muzaffarpur. Topic was Muzaffarpur, a study in urban geography. Then another Professor and Head of Bihar University, Professor J.P. Sharma, and one scholar from Banaras Hindu University had also done his doctoral research work under Professor Ramprabir Singh, and the person was very famous among the university circle of Banaras Hindu University, and she was Dr. Hempriya Devi. And the topic was population growth in Rajmal Highlands. Then Professor Jagatnaran Sinha of Magadha City, Bodh Gaya. Ram Pyare Singh, Dr. Ram Pyare Singh, Bihar का जल संसाधन भूगोल. Dr. Balram Sharma, Land Use of Tekari Anchal. Dr. Ravinder Singh, Integrated Area Study, an example from Gaya district. Dr. Ashok Kumar, then senior lecturer, and ultimately Professor and Head of the Department of Geography, Magadha City, Bodh Gaya. The topic was a geographical analysis of rural markets and urban centers in Magadha Division, Bihar, in Gaya district. So these were the research students of Professor R.P. Singh. Now, Professor R.P. Singh, a par excellent teacher. Professor R.P. Singh was a great teacher. His art of teaching was wonderful. He used to elaborate and analyze even the complex geomorphological thoughts in such a simple, lucid, and scientific manner that even the last ranking student of his class used to receive the masterly knowledge of the topic taught by Professor Singh. He was versed with every art of the scientific teaching. I remember, D.P. Singh, remember one of his classes when he was lecturing about the then recently propagated concept of the plate tectonic. Professor Singh actually started acting like a giant tectonic bulldozer. and created the natural scenery of shifting of plates by his style, body language, tone, tune, actions, expressions, and versions. I may also remember his another class lecture when he was teaching the evolution of the great mountain system of the Himalayas. He actually created the natural scenario of the feature by his popular style of deliberation. In nutshell, he used to make his lectures very lively, attractive, and penetrative. Whenever he was lecturing in the classroom, he never sat in the chair, and I have never seen him standing on his feet. Rather, he used as to be dancing, and not only his mouth and tongue were working, rather his entire body was used to be working, giving poses and postures, styles and gestures. He used to show the forms and features, whether complicated or simple, by postures of various organs of his body. He was a master cartographer. He used to draw freehand, very lively, and actual multicolored features, even the complicated and complex landforms on the blackboards. His hands and on the blackboard, drawing the colorful landforms, and his tongue expressing about the concerned features. We are habituated of working simultaneously, which might have been tuned accordingly. That is, his hands and his tongue might have been tuned accordingly, and were habituated of working simultaneously. This was the salient feature of his teaching. Command on Hindi and English languages. He was the master of languages, both Hindi and English. His English was fluent, flowery, stylish, lucid, attractive, and having a real fragrance of an Englishman. Whenever he used to lecture, whether in classroom or in conferences or any other platform, he used to attract and hypnotize the audience like a real wizard, the wizard of words. He himself often used the statement that he was the wizard of words. मैं शब्दों का जादूगर हूँ. This was his common version. In conferences, people used eagerly waiting for his turn. Whenever the crowd used to become violent and unruly, organizers often used to call Professor Singh for his lecture, and with the announcement of the name of Professor Singh as the speaker, the nuisance creating mob would have been becoming calm, quiet, silent, passive, with the great patience, as if भागती भीड़ हो गई खड़ी, भागती भीड़ हो गई खड़ी. Such was the charismatic and powerful style of oration, like a great orator. His Hindi oration and literature were also of superlative degree. I have been witness of many such occasions when he controlled the violent and agitated crowd. I have seen this feature once when in Banaras Hindu University, his very close Professor Ken Singh was the chairperson of the department, and a situation was created, ugly situation was created, and Professor R.P. Singh was called upon to lecture, and I witnessed that actually the Bhakti Bheed ho gayi khadi. An extraordinary field gemologist, late Professor Ram Parvesh Singh, was an extraordinary field gemologist. He has traveled each and every nook and corner of an extensive highlands of Chhota Nagpur, which now expands over 24 districts of the state of Jharkhand and one Purulia, presently lying in the state of West Bengal. No part of such an extensive country which left unfathomed by the footprint of Professor Singh. He devoted complete 6 months in the field work of such a vast area, that is Highlands of Chotnagpur and adjoining area. Such an extensive field work had been exhibited through the sketches, which will be shown later on, through the sketches drawn by Professor Singh in the field. Those sketches also exhibit his daily field work, as dates are also inscribed in them. These are some handsome photographs of a very beautiful person, Professor R.P. Singh. We have preserved some of such photographs. Now, this is the cover page of his published thesis by National Geographical Association of India, Varanasi. The title is Geomorphological Evolution of Chotnagpur Highlands, India. This is the inner page, Geomorphological Evolution of Chotnagpur Highlands, India, and which was forward of the book was written by the great professor of the time, Professor R.L. Singh, who was a great friend of Professor R.P. Singh, and they were Guru Bhai in London under the supervision of Dr. Sir Professor Lawrence Dudley Sturm. His main contribution were the recognition, mapping, and elaboration of erosional surfaces in the highlands of Chotnagpur. Here are some maps through which Professor Singh has portrayed the erosional surfaces of the highlands of Chotnagpur. This is the long profile of a great river, the North Coel of Chotnagpur Highlands. And here we can see through several falls, reels and falls and break of slopes, the entire journey of the river Coel, and several erosional surfaces exhibited by the break of slopes. These are some cartographic representation of the through superimposed profiles. Here superimposed profiles of toposit number 73J. In the town, it is projected profiles, all drawn by. Here is the composite profile, all drawn by Professor R.P. Singh. Again, the cross valley section of Damodar River, sheet number 72, projected profiles. Here is the a sketch drawn by Professor R.P. Singh during his field work. Here are of Raj Mahal. The map prepared by him shows the cartographic ability. Another altimetric frequency graph of highlands of Raj Mahal. Generalized contours of Raj Mahal Highlands. Relative relief map, Raj Mahal Highlands. Raj Mahal Highlands physiography. Hypsographic curve of the Raj Mahal Highlands. Raj Mahal Highlands drainage. some sketches which are the salient feature of Professor Singh's artistic mapping, where is freehand sketching. Now it is time to show some of them before such a august gathering of Indian geographers or galaxy. This is one can visualize the date, the signature, the date which Professor Singh had put. It is 30th of March 1954 or 5, not visible. It is a sketch, field sketch, landscape view of the Chandil or the Bamni Plain, South Purulia, now in West Bengal. This is Subarnekha superimposing its course over the Quartise hills northwest of Chandil. Here also Subarnekha superimposing its course here. Again, superimposition of Subarnekha course. All are sketches of Professor Ram Parvez Singh during his field work. A closer view of the superimposition of the Subarnekha over the Phyllite Hills, South Canberra. Subarnekha superimposing its course over the Phyllite Hills. Landscape south of Jamshedpur. This is a place north of Gaya, representing the Barabar Hills, which breaking the monotony of the plain. These are the remnants of the hills and hillocks of Chhotnagpur Highland, and a river, a great river of South Bihar Plain, the Phalgu, dividing this country of hills and hillocks. Another sketch, landscape from Simdega Dakbangla. Right? Another sketch in the field. Another sketch, landscape feature of and relief analysis. A slope of Ara Hills. Ranchi Penny Plain. How Professor Singh has projected through his sketching capability the Ranchi Penny Plain. The monotony of the Penny Plain is being disturbed by, broken by the hills and hillocks. This is the branded Jamwar River, Ranchi, Bihar. Branded Jamwar. Long profile of some rivers of Chhotnagpur Highlands. Long profile of the Budha River. Falls, many falls in the course of Budha River. And through all the, such falls, Professor Singh has actually has mapped, sketched, and shown the various levels of erosion surfaces of the highlands of Chhotnagpur. The profile of the Sank River, long profile of Sank River, long profile of Subarnekha River, with so many falls, showing here is the long profile of Rarua River, long profile of the Damodar River, profiles of some toposids of Chhotnagpur Highlands, Lohardaga seed profiles, Ranchi seed profile, superimposed profile, projected composite profile, Gaya seed, projected profile, superimposed profiles, Purulia seeds, Purulia seeds, Giri seeds, Chaibasa seed, Dumka seed, topo seed, Chaibasa seed, Dumka seed, drainage of Chhotnagpur, mapped by Professor R.P. Singh. The entire Chhotnagpur, the drainage pattern of entire Chhotnagpur has been mapped by Professor Singh. And each and every one in to proceed by Professor contribution of Professor R.P. Singh. Professor R.P. Singh was the first man to map the cyclic progress of periglacial landforms. And he was the man who mapped the cyclic stages. Here the 4 stages of the periglacial features have been mapped by Professor R.P. Singh. The topmost map is showing the initial stage. The next one is the youthful stage. The third one is the stage of maturity. And last one is the ultimum stage, that is the old stage. And this was the main contribution, one of the main contribution of Professor R.P. Singh in the field of geomorphology. And it was published in the National Geographers of Aligarh in 1971. And this is the book, the masterpiece book on Bihar, Geography of Bihar, Monograph of Bihar. This is another book, Manav Udbhav Tatha Prajati Adhyan. Conclusion. In fact, Professor R.P. Singh, we find a happy blend of benevolent administrator, a great intellectual, an excellent teacher, a committed field worker, a pioneer researcher, a dedicated academician, an attractive orator, a brilliant cartographer, a super research guide, and overall a man of wisdom and insight, whose pleasant personality left an indelible mark on anyone he came in contact with him. Such was, and we are some photographs of Professor R.P. Singh. Such was the great personality and the great contributions of Professor R.P. Singh. And with all these words, I pay my homage and tribute to the great gemologist of the country, my teacher, my mentor, my guru. And lastly, I thanks you all for a patient hearing and cooperation. And also, I also thank senior geographers of the country like H.S. Sharma, Vijayan, Professor Santosh Shukla ji, M.N. Kaul from Jammu, B.R. Pant from Uttarakhand, Phadke Sahab from Bombay, and so many. Mulimani, my friend Arvind Mulimani from Dharwad, and V.K. Srivastava from Gorakhpur, and Professor Ram Kumar Tiwari, my friend, for such a nice cooperation. And my another colleagues, Sadhna Deshpande, for cooperation, and all other who have participated in the episode. Professor Anna Pratap, my elder brother, he also patronizes, admires me, and promote for work. So my friends like Virender Kumar of Bodh Gaya, Dinanath from Jaspur, Chhattisgarh, my older student, Ganesh Pathak, my friend, Saroj Kumar from Hazaribagh, Durgesh Pratap Singh from Raebareli, Rameswar Singh, my friend, Vijayan, Radheshyam ji, my friend, Murari Singh from Muzaffarpur, and all the friends. And the president, the oldest man, the senior most man of this episode, who had extended his consent to preside over our this 14th episode and teachers of my teachers, Professor Ramanandan Prasad Sinha of Baroda. Thank you very much. Gayatri Sahi, Dr. Gayatri Sahi. She is also cooperating us with
PS Tiwari, sir. PS Tiwari. PS Tiwari. PS Tiwari.
Tiwari Sahab is also here and he is also our guardian. Anil Kumar ji from Jharkhand. Vijay Rao ji and so many others. And
Sameem Ahmad Saab hai. Sameem Ahmad Saab.
Sameem Sahab from Srinagar, my friend. Sameem Ahmad from Srinagar. Srikant Sharma ji, Sri Kamal Sharma ji, and so many people from all over the country. Thank you very much and good evening to all of you.
So thank you very much, sir. Thank you, Professor Devendra Prasad Singh, who has narrated the life history of Ram Pravesh Singh. His multidimensional personality of Professor Ram Pravesh Singh, not only a cartographer, not only a geographer not only in other aspects, but a true geographer, true modern geographer, who should know about various facets of geography. And he is a true geographer. And what we require now is a collection of all the books and the articles written by the Ranchi University professors, so that when we have resources, we can have a centralized library and we can collect all the contributions, at least a copy each in that center, so that we can, our research scholars need not go to all the centers and collect the information. So with this, I thank Professor Devendra Prasad Singh. And now,
Mr. President.
Professor A.K. Bhagwati. Yes.
Mr. President.
Yes.
V.K. Srivastava from Gorakhpur.
Achha.
May I be allowed to read two very short quotations on Professor Ram Pravesh Singh?
Okay, sir. Okay.
Which may be relevant to what is being presented here. Now, we had a small opportunity at Gorakhpur University, where Professor Ram Pravesh Singh was invited for professor lectures stayed with us for about 1 month. Now, two things I would like to say. Number one, in Hindi, महामानव राम प्रवेश सिंह उर्फ आरपी को भूगोल संस्कार का नमन. Now, what Professor Dudley Eston has said about Professor R.P. Singh. Professor Singh भारतीय जियोमॉर्फोलॉजी के क्षेत्र में शोध में अग्रणी रहे. उन्होंने भूगोल के अध्ययन एवं शोध को उत्साह तथा ओज से प्यार किया और बढ़ाया. मैं भूगोलविदों के बीच इस वरिष्ठ भूगोलविद को सम्मान देना चाहता हूं. मैं शोधकर्ता के रूप में उसके लिए उच्च विचार रखता हूं. छोटा नागपुर पठार के भूदृश्य की व्याख्या में इसने भौगोलिक शोध की विधियों का सही उपयोग किया. और एक और कोट आपके परमिशन से प्रोफेसर रामलोचन सिंह के द्वारा. वास्तव में प्रोफेसर आरपी सिंह में हम लोग एक सहृदय, सहज प्रशासक, एक महान विद्वान का खुशनुमा मिश्रण पाते हैं. साथ ही इनमें एक ऐसा व्यक्ति पाते हैं जिनका आनंददायी व्यक्तित्व इनके संपर्क में आने वाले प्रत्येक व्यक्ति पर अमिट छाप छोड़ती है. भूगोल के अलावा भी जो उनके चरित्र की विशेषता थी और जो उनका व्यक्तित्व था वह भी महत्व रखता है. ये मैं कोट कर रहा हूँ प्रोफेसर नंदेश्वर शर्मा के एक आर्टिकल से जो उन्होंने प्रोफेसर राम प्रवेश सिंह के ऊपर श्रद्धांजलि में लिखा था. आपको बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you for sharing.
Can I say? Swami, can I say about Inayat Sahab? Can I say about Inayat Sahab, my guru?
Yeah, okay, sir.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Down
While
there,
he was my teacher.
Chaudhary, you will be given
Yeah,
time. Don't break the system. You will be given time. Wait for that.
Okay.
And
Okay.
may the convener
Okay.
conduct the session.
Okay.
You will be given time
Yeah.
at an opportune moment. So you should
Okay,
wait.
thank you.
Okay.
I will say something about regarding
I will invite you.
Dr. Sahab. Dr. Inayat Samad was my teacher. While
Are
he
you
was in
better audible, sir?
classes, he was moving around and teaching everything about astrostacy. And that astrostacy was inscribed in the geomorphology, which is mentioned by Archidivat. This is all. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. May I now invite the guest of honor, Professor A.K. Bhagwati, who is the professor and past head Department of University, who is known for his excellency in various facets of geography, and he was the past president of IIG, Institute of Indian Geographers, Pune, and then Northeast Indian Geographers Society, and also the ASS associations. Now may I invite Professor A.K. Bhagwati to talk about or give some remarks in a couple of minutes. Professor Bhagwati? Okay, if because I saw him sometime before.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
I
Yes.
extend my love and respect to everybody present here. And I was listening to both the presenters. Very nicely they presented about Inayat Ahmed and R.P. Singh, the great geographers of the country. I had the opportunity to see them, although I was a student at the time. In 1968, R.P. Singh came to Guwahati University in IGU conference. Then Inayat Ahmed really, we studied his books, and he was a great geographer really. And my guru here from Assam, S.P. Das, he also did his PhD from the same department, that is, London School of Economics, under the same guide, Dudley Stamp. And now we can realize the young generation or our contemporaries, we can realize how seriously our forefathers, our earlier generations, they contributed, they studied, and they presented, their ideas so seriously, so meticulously, and that actually laid the foundation of Indian geography. Friends, particularly Devendra Singh was, contacting me, and I was really very, very happy. And you have already completed 13 episodes, and this is the 14th, and very nicely done, really. And when I was a student, I had the opportunity to go through the Robert Dickinson's book, Makers of Modern Geography. That is a marvelous book. If someone is to know about geography of the world, the history of geography of the world, then that book is a must. I think if the results of all these discussions, all these presentations, for example, up to this 14th episode, if these are very nicely published in the form of volumes, I think one volume will not be sufficient. There may be, 2-3 volumes. In that way, if we can publish, maintaining a very good quality, incorporating many other things. For example, certain things are very emotional. Some of the old, students of Professor Singh and Professor Inayat Ahmed are here. They are present. They are tempted to speak, because they know about all these people. They're the direct students of these great geographers. So therefore, some of the statements made by his old students should also be incorporated in the book. In that way, if we just if we try to publish all the episodes, I think that will be a great contribution. That will lay the foundation really what we had earlier and what we used to imbibe, used to inherit from Indian geographers. That will be very, very clear. That will be very, very, very helpful, and that will set a line, and that will make all of us, for example, and the new generation inspired. I don't like to take much time. I'm thinking about myself, what I am doing, what my contemporary people are doing, and what our, the earlier generation they did. Because, they got a very good training, a good atmosphere in UK particularly. The great geographers, for example, they trained them and they had a commitment and they had a sense of responsibility to our country to understand the geography of each and every region of the country. And everybody, in Bengal, in Bihar, in UP, in Maharashtra, South India, Karnataka and all that, all these earlier generations, they took the responsibilities, our responsibility to expose the geography of our own region, the way they did, marvelous really. And we are remembering all these things. We are, in this particular lecture series, therefore, I attended another lecture series also. I find today, this is a very useful, very important, lecture series. And this will help us to understand what was the foundation of geography, who are the makers of Indian geography. So in that way, this is a very useful and very important, I think, event in the discourse of the contribution of geographers in India. I extend my love and respect to everybody, my seniors, and some of you may be junior to me, and anyway, we belong to the geography fraternity of India. We have a very good tradition, good history. On the basis of that, we will proceed and we will make Indian geography respectable to the entire world. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Bhagwati sir, for giving an excellent narration of the contributions of the geographers in India. Probably Professor Devendra Prasad Singh may take note of it, and then probably you can also add whatever Professor Bhagwati has pointed out. Now let me invite Professor Rana Pratap, the former professor and head Department of Geography of Matak University, Buddha and the former president of NAGI, to give his remark in a couple of minutes.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Kumaraswamy sir.
Yes, sir, please.
Okay, you are listening to me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Now I start. Respected President, sir, the dignitaries, including Kumaraswamy, Professor Phadke, Bhagwati, Emin Kaul, and so many other our local friends and friends from India, and other dignitaries associated here. Thank you very much to all. Really, I am happy today to say a few words about my Guru, Professor R.P. Singh, and Professor Inayat Ahmed, who inspired me in the whole academic life of myself. Today's the 14th episode. I take equally fortunate for myself like the 11th episode, which was related to Professor P. Dayal, my teacher and one of the doins of the Indian geography. This episode, however, relates to the two other stalwarts of geography of India, Professor Inayat Ahmed and Professor Ram Pravesh Singh, whose contributions in the making of the modern geography in India are praiseworthy and appreciable. I am happy to say that these three giants of Bihar, they have been very much honored by the Bhagol Ratna by our NAGI Association. The two speakers of the day, Professor D.P. Singh and Dr. R.K. Tiwari, have nicely presented their personalities, achievements, and contributions in their respective fields of geography. Obviously, there is no need to repeat these facts again, but however, I have to praise these two speakers. They have really worked hard and they have given a very scientific and very systematic development and contributions made by the two great geographers of the country. However, I myself had been closely associated with these two geographers for long, and therefore I, in a very short appreciation of them, here I prefer to present their contributions and their personalities. Professor R.P. Singh, he was my teacher, so I have preferred to talk about him first. Professor R.P. Singh had been my teacher from IA to MA classes in the Patna College and in the PG Department of Geography, Patna University, during 1962 to 1968. I always found him as my favorite teacher, and I have followed his teaching styles, way of presentation, mannerism of a teacher, and after all, a nicely helping human behavior. What I am today is definitely Professor Singh's help when I faced an interview board of University Service Commission, Patna in 1970. I remember when the chairman of the board asked Professor Singh to ask questions, Professor Singh very confidently said, "The candidate is my product. I have taught him, examined him, and I found him as a suitable person. So it would be better you people to ask few questions related to geography from him. You people ask." Really, this was very high morale boosting for me, and boldly faced the board, and I was selected accordingly against the first post of lectureship. I appreciate him as a bold personality of a teacher who strongly boosted the morale of his student. That this was the stature of Professor R.P. Singh. Again, Professor Singh was the examiner of my first PhD research scholar in 1984. I remember categorically, he examined the thesis page-wise without, he examined the page-wise with suitable research remarks and comments, while this was rarely other examiners did. Actually, that was the landmark for me, which I followed in my other PhD researches. So these are a few examples of Professor Singh's to judge him as a teacher, as a man, and as a strong contributors in the field of geomorphology. I learned the concept of applied geomorphology from him, including landscape, chronology, erosional surfaces, valley-in-valley, superimposed and antecedent drainage system, peneplain, Marnox, etc. We always call him the father of geomorphology of Bihar, India. Today, Dr. D.P. Singh has represented him in a true as his personality was, and so many facts he has revealed, which we the students were even not knowing all the details. So thank you, Professor D.P. Singh, for this. Today I am once again fortunate to pay my sincere attributes to my great teacher, Professor R.P. Singh. Again, I shift to another personality of geography world, Professor Inayat Ahmed, from whom I had been inspired and learned a lot of lot as a teacher and mild and soft human being. This is a fact that I was not his direct student, and he was never any my examiner, but I always took him as a teacher and inspirer. He was my Vice Chancellor of Magadha University during 1985 to 1987. He appointed me as the Chief Proctor of the university to regulate and maintain law and order. He always supported me as a guardian. He was a man of principles. He never compromised with unprincipled matters. He was a great human being, always always appreciating others. He never criticized anyone. He never engaged himself in doing something against anybody. So he was the extraordinary Superman, and I pray him, and I respect him, and I follow him. The great geographer, I pay my best regards to him. I have already written 2 and 3 articles and research papers and delivered so many lectures on him. So this is my, in short, this is my respect to him. Lastly, I took the occasion as another fortunate day of this day. My another teacher, Professor R.N.P. Sinha, is presiding over today's function, and in his presence, I am saying, it is a great thing, and I am very much happy that my teacher is here, and in his presence, I am presenting my view about the two great geographers, Professor Inayat Ahmed and Professor R.P. Singh. I must pay respect to Professor R.P. Sinha also. Finally, all dignitaries, including Professor Farke, K. Swami, Bhagwati, M.L. Kaul, and my local friends, Devendra Prasad, R.K. Tiwari, and Paras Rai, and so many other persons. They are actually doing great things, and you have provided opportunity to say something about my gurus and the great geographers of India. I appreciate and thank you all the senior geographers who have combined with us, and they are listening to us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Professor Rana Pratap, for forming as a connecting geographer between the generations, previous generation and then the future generation. And probably Rameshwar Prasad Singh will take care of your notes. And then may I invite the distinguished guest of today, this episode, Professor M.N. Kaul, Professor and Head Department of Geography of Jammu University, to deliver his remarks for about 15 minutes or 20 minutes. Now I invite Professor Kaul. Professor Kaul.
Kaul Sahab, please unmute yourself.
Professor Kaul, unmute and then come to the meeting.
Okay. Is it audible now?
Oh, yes, please.
Thank you, Professor Kumaraswamy. Good afternoon to everybody. I take this opportunity to express my sincere gratitude to all the renowned geographers attending the virtual meet of 14th episode of lecture series on founders and makers of modern geography in India. My special gratitude to Professor R.P. Sinha, Baroda University, the president of the MATE. Professor K. Kumaraswamy, Bharatidinsa University, Trichinopoli, the convener of the MATE. The chief guest, Professor V.S. Phadke, University of Bombay, Mumbai. Professor A. Bhagavati and Professor Rana Pratap of Bodh Gaya University as the guest of honors. Distinguished speakers of today, Professor Ram K. Tiwari, Ranchi University, and Professor Devendra Prasad Singh, Director of Research, ERAD. At the outset, let me express my deep sense of gratitude and hearty congratulations to Professor Devendra Pratap Singh, Director of Research, Institute of Environment Research and Rural Development, Patna, and his team for organizing such a marvelous lecture series. By doing this, he has united all the senior teachers on one platform. And that too on a particular theme, which is very valuable. The theme is founders and makers of modern geography of India. It is one of the most contemporary topics discussed across India. I once again take this opportunity to congratulate the organizers for devoting the 40th episode on founders and makers of modern geography of Ranchi University, dedicated to the contribution of two eminent geographers, Professor Inayat Ahmed and Professor R.P. Singh. The honorable speakers have given an elaborate account of the academic achievements of Professor Inayat Ahmed and R.P. Singh, and well-known Professor Inayat Ahmed and Professor R.P. Singh are well-renowned geographers and geomorphologists, both widely respected as founding fathers and major practitioners of their field of specialization. Both of them received extensive theoretical and field training in settlement geography and in alluvial morphology, tropical geomorphology, geoenvironment, geology, and cartographic techniques from Professor Oskar Spate and Professor L. Dudley Stamp of London School of Economics and from the University of London, respectively. Known as the founding fathers and major practitioners of the field of specialization, Professor Inayat Ahmed is known for the theory of evolution of Himalayan drainage system and coastal geomorphology. He modified the proposal given by the great stalwarts of the geography, particularly Pascoe and Pilgrim. R.P. Singh, known geomorphologist, gave an account on the Chota Nagpur Plateau. His thesis is based on the denudation history and cartographic techniques he has applied. While the two speakers, they were presenting the detailed profile, I have come across that Professor Inayat Ahmed, whatever he has documented about the drainage system of Himalaya, it is valid even today. I had an opportunity because I was associated with the DST project working on the glaciers and had an opportunity of visiting along the Ladakh region. I have come across all the drainage characteristics of that area, and I have found how the drainage lines are running and how much the structure plays an important part in deviating the drainage channels. Even we have made an assessment about the craving out the history of those areas, and we have found out that on the basis of the samples collected and radiometric dating, it dates back that they previously in Holocene time or in the past, the drainage lines used to move from one place to another place due to the impact of the fault and associated faults, or that is mainly an outcome of the thesis of Inayat Ahmed. It is a very valuable thesis, and same is the case with the cartographic history which was given by Professor Devendra Prasad Singh. He has documented the cartographic techniques. He has a projected profile. It is on the basis of that. He has just formulated the denudation history of the area, and thus what I presume in the earlier phase, when all techniques were not available, how the great geographers were working on sincerely in the field as well as in the laboratory to formulate such sort of models. In my opinion, the geographical studies in India followed a general trend of Indo-British and Anglo-American development. Furthermore, these trends underwent a revolutionary stage with bearing and application of the new mode of analysis in pre- and post-1960 period. During the last 3 decades, the geography as a discipline has developed on a modern scientific line using geospatial technology in land use, land cover mapping, analysis of furthermore use of technological innovations like drone, ice scoring system, ice scoring machines, LIDAR images, and other technologies to assess the exact past history of that particular area. This is being done, I had an opportunity of visiting abroad, and I am also observing that in India also such facilities are gradually coming up, and the detailed study are being done on a real scientific temper, and this has actually placed the Indian geomorphologists and geographers in a very top position in comparison to topmost geographers or geomorphologists of the world. So what I want to emphasize here, that whatever our predecessors or great geographers, the foundation they have laid, it has paid the dividend in the form of producing the new generation of the geographers or geomorphologists who are capable to go to any extent with regard to scientific development of the field. I'm thankful. I just want to thank to organizers for inviting me to this 14th episode of online lecture, particularly Professor Devendra Prasad Singh. And I will just tell you, while I was traveling from USA, one of my friends, he gave me a call, but I could not attend his call. But once I landed here, he just again gave me a call. I told him, what is the reason? He told me that such and such conference is being held, and actually on this conference we are studying the development of geography and founders of the geography. We need your help. And then I told him, मेरा क्या काम है यार, मैं कैसे, I am not a founder of the geography as a simpleton. What can I contribute there? No, you can attend the meeting or you can talk about your guru or anybody else. So with that intention, I gave a phone call to Professor Devendra Prasad Singh, but unfortunately because of the internet and because of the mobile discontinuity, I could not talk to him. This is the frankly position. Later on, I had to talk to him on WhatsApp, and he passed on the message and told me that such and such, I have fixed you in the 14th meet of the conference. So please attend it, and I have already approved it. And I told him that I have just seen it. It is not the approval. But anyhow, I will try my level best to be present in this function. Thank you very much. So kind of you, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much for giving tidbits to Professor Singh to include this in his volume, a series of volumes that he is planning to publish. Now, may I invite Professor V.S. Patke from University of Bombay. He was Professor in the Department of Geography of this university and also the past president of the Bombay Geographical Society. So now Professor Patke has come and then give remarks about the development of geography in Ranchi for a couple of minutes. Professor Patke.
Thank you, sir. Are you hearing me?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Am I
sir.
audible?
Yes, sir. Very much.
Thank you, sir. All the respected dignitaries participating in this program, organized by the Institute of Environmental Research and Rural Development, Patna, including Professor Devendra Singh, Director of the Institute, who is instrumental in organizing it. I am indeed very happy that I have been invited for today's session to honor two great personalities, namely Professor Inayat Ahmed and Professor Ram Pravesh Singh from Ranchi University. It is a great idea to bring before the current generation of geographers the contributions and achievements of such pioneering efforts put in by them when geography was rather in its infancy in this part of the world. Fortunately, although otherwise it was the most unfortunate event in terms of death toll, Corona pandemic has acted as a blessing in disguise to bring together the geographers all over India to pick up the thread from these early founders. The program is organized twice a month, every fortnight, on Sunday, at a convenient time between 4 to 6 p.m. And all those who wish to participate can easily have an access to it on a Google Meet platform. I personally find it an immense benefit, as it also provides me with an opportunity to meet some of my old friends whom I find it difficult to come across personally at this age. For example, I could see Professor Shivadnyanam last Sunday after a long time gap of over 15 years, whom I first met at the first Nagi conference in Punjab University, Chandigarh, way back in 1980. Today I can see here Professor Kumar Swami, Professor H.S. Sharma, whom I met long back in Kolhapur and Pune respectively. I could also see some professors like Professor R.N.P. Sinha, Professor Devendra Singh, whom I never had an opportunity to meet personally before. I congratulate Professor Singh for providing such a platform for geographers all over India to come together at no cost. It is indeed a great pleasure that we are being introduced to the works that have been carried out by those great founders under extremely trying conditions when technology was not so advanced. Every piece of information was to be collected by visiting the libraries and writing down notes with hand. Today, fortunately, the things have changed for better due to internet. There were no calculators, and every calculation was made with the help of log tables or slide rules. Albeit, there was a great intellectual advantage in that, in the sense that people retained their arithmetical abilities. Today, for every small bit of simple mathematical operations, like even addition and subtraction, students require calculator. Another great feature in those days was that scholars depended more on intensive fieldwork and collecting first-hand information, which helped them to get the feel of the area, and it enabled them a lot in the correct interpretation of the facts so collected and analyzed. A great advantage in visiting field personally lies in the fact that you come to know many alternative factors which you cannot envisage conceptually by sitting in the lab, howsoever deep reference work you carry out. An experience in one area does not always match with the other. This is particularly related to perceptional studies, where understanding of different people, even in the same area, differs a lot because of different socio-economic matrices. The perception of the beneficiaries and the sufferers due to the same activity, such as industry or tourism, is totally opposite. All such threads one could pick up only by careful fieldwork, and our founders had faith in such studies. One more noteworthy aspect in the works of great founders is that they were devoted to their work. They never thought of time they spent and never related it to their earnings, which were really meager in those days. They tried to make themselves as role models for their followers. Fortunately for them, the students were hardworking and were never interested only to get quick results, for they always believed in conditions of conquest, namely, one has to toil a while, endure a while, believe always, and never turn back. This encouraged the founders to take up their work seriously. The condition of sitting for 4 hours a day was never imposed, as the teachers spent nearly 8 to 10 hours at the place of work without being required to tell them to do so. What is the outcome of all this? A great original work by these scholars. Look at Professor Inayat Ahmad, who was versatile in research. He started his research career with settlement geography, but after that shifted to areas like geology, geomorphology, particularly fluvial and coastal. His pivotal work is drainage system of the Himalayan rivers, which came to be known as Ahmad theory. His work on Indian coastal geomorphology is also commendable. His work on regional planning is also worth mentioning, particularly with reference to growth poles. He was instrumental in bringing out the first research journal of geography in then Bihar, Geographical Outlook. It is not a surprise, therefore, that he was honored with Bhugol Ratna Award of 2016 posthumously by the Indian Geography Congress 17 years of his death. What a great recognition. Professor Ram Pravesh Singh, another great founder of geography in Ranchi University, was also a great scholar in geomorphology. He specialized in geomorphological evolution of highlands of Chotanagpur and its adjoining districts of Bihar. Later, he focused on geomorphological mapping of Chota Nagpur, soil erosion cycle in Chota Nagpur, soil erosion, stream ordering, stratigraphic studies, changing landscape of Chota Nagpur, and many such works related to the area. He also worked on physical evolution of peninsular India as well as its denudation chronology. He was honored by his appointment as Secretary, Geomorphology Section in 1968 International Geography Congress. He was a visiting professor to Bulgaria, particularly to lecture on Karstian landscape. He has also 90 research papers to his credit. Thus, the work of founders was mainly focused on physical geography, particularly geomorphology, as human geography was still in its deterministic phase. I am very much thankful to today's speakers, Professor Ram Tiwari and Professor Devendra Singh, for their critical analysis of the work of these two great stalwarts of Ranchi University, bringing out clearly their contributions to the development of those fields. I once again express my gratitude to organizers for providing me with an opportunity to be with all of you this evening. I enjoyed the session very much. I am sure the proceeding will be published to make them available to researchers in future. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Phadke, sir, for remembering us in this platform. You are a great geographer, and then we are waiting for your contributions in other platforms. Also, other societies are also organizing webinars, and you can also participate, and then you can contribute, because you are remembering so many things, and then it is a great joy for us to listening to your words. Thank you very much, sir. Now, may I invite the next speaker, the technical supporter, Dr. Ambaresh Kumar Roy, who is the Assistant Professor, PG Department of Geography, VKS University of Ara, Bihar, to talk about his remarks on this conference.
Thank you very much, sir. And thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk about what we are doing as a team to make this lecture series very successful. So I am very happy to inform you all that as our team under the guidance of Professor Devendra Prasad Singh is working day by day to make this lecture series more vital, more viable, and more comprehensive. In this regard, we have some developments, like we have our website of our institute. Under that banner, we are organizing this lecture series of founders and makers of modern geography in India. And we have also a YouTube channel. Since last 2 episodes, we are live streaming our lecture series, that it would be useful for those who are anyhow unable to participate lively, but they can get the information and talk later on. So for that, anyone can access through either our YouTube channel, that is the Founders and Makers of Modern Geography in India, and he or she can also access this video through our website. Sir, in this regard, I would like to also inform that about our coming episodes. Our 15th episode will be organized on 10th April. That will on Punjab University, Chandigarh, and that dedicated to Professor P.K. Sarkar and Professor G.S. Ghosal. Our next 16th episode will be conducted on 24th of April of this year, and that will be on Osmania University, Hyderabad, and that will be dedicated on Professor Saeed Ahmad, Professor B.L.S. Prakasa Rao, and Professor S.M. Alam, sir. 7th episode will be on 22nd May and Dr. Hari Singh Gaur University, Sagar. And this that lecture will be dedicated for Professor Makin, Professor G.S. Gayer, Professor B.C. Misra, and Professor S.M. Ali, sir. Along with that, we are also planning to have some black and white into 4 volumes till June, July. So I'm requested to all our person who have participated in the lecture, please provide your handout. There may be a thing that you, due to the time constraint, you didn't talk about the thing in here in lecture, but please include all those information, a little information what you have about the personalities you have prepared to us that will come into the black and white. So please, I'm also again requesting to provide this on time that we could proceed it till June, July. Otherwise, it will be delay for 2-3 months more. So, addition to that, one more information is that as Professor Deep Singh has informed earlier in the episodes, that we are planning to publication of Directory of Indian Geographers. The notice will come soon, and we are working on drafting and how the information will be captured and how we disseminate the notice to all the respective universities, state universities, central universities, and college department of geography, that we could assess the information of all persons who are engaged in geography. So with this, thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much for giving a detailed account of your new website and then your proposal to include all the lectures. Probably that is what I'm talking with Professor Singh, because many of us may be absent at your website, and probably anyone can see, and then we can witness visually and then audio visual presentations. Now, may I request the intercessors, Professor Paras Roy, and also Professor Rameswar Prasad Singh, to give their remarks on this or their appeal about these episodes. Professor Paras Roy?
Yes, sir. Am I audible, Mr.
Yes,
Kumar
sir.
Swamy?
Yes, sir. Please, please proceed.
Respected Chairman, Dr. R.N.P. Sinha Sahab, Dr. Kaul Sahab, Dr. Phadke Sahab, Kumar Swamy Sahab, Dr. Rana Pratap ji, organizer Dr. D.P. Singh Sahab. This particular series is very emotional series for me because I'm a student of Dr. Singh. My elder brother, Dr. enumerated or elaborated his academic characteristics. As we know, he was par excellence a speaker, rather silver-tongued orator. But he was very successful teacher. His class lecture was started with sentences like, it's so simple, it's very interesting. And he always directed his students to consult classical texts, not confined them only class lectures. Go to libraries and consult literature. He was he was kind enough to his students. He blessed us to be prosperous, to be knowledgeable. So this lecture is a tarpan, Pitru tarpan for me, because he belongs to Gaya district or Bodh Gaya University. They both, not only Dr. Singh, but Dr. Inayat Sahab, who was my examiner, both are known for their good governance.
Singha? Singh, sir. I don't know.
Please unmute. Please unmute your Sinha sir. Please unmute.
Please unmute and then join the meeting, sir. Professor Singha.
Maybe he is present, maybe.
Oh. Professor Singha, please unmute and then talk, sir. Professor Singha. Professor.
He's trying. Wait.
Some technical problem may come to.
Okay.
Man, 94 years old. He's trying.
94 years?
94.
No, he joined.
Okay.
He's to join.
आरके दीक्षित के समान एज हो गया
Please start, sir.
Yes.
He's trying.
Yes, he has joined us.
Okay. Yeah. Professor Singha, please.
Pranam, sir.
Yes, sir.
Sir ko pranam.
Yes, sir. Please, Professor.
रामनंदन बाबू
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद
चलिए थैंक यू सर आप
को धन्यवाद देता हूँ जमात में ला के खड़ा कर दिया है तो आशा है कि probably nobody knows me and never we have met face to face. It is due to his generosity and the outlook he has made for me, all of you, and see you all face to face. So this is my privilege that Dvanidji has provided me. So I thank him very much And thank also for organizing such a big show on highlighting the careers makers of geography in India. The stalwarts that are of today's discussion. I have personal connection with them. I have been a student of both of these persons, both Dr. Inayat Ahmed and Professor and apart from any other things, apart from his intellectual highlights, I will like to point out 2 points for both the persons. Dr. Inayat Ahmed was a very simple person. He was an embodiment of high thinking, on a simple living and high thinking. He lived very simply and he thought very high. He was very moralistic and he adhered to it. As an example, when he was appointed the Vice Chancellor of Magad University, went there and within a day he guessed that he is not fit for the post because that is the place it is meant for the politicians, not for educationists and intellectuals. So he left the post immediately the next day and returned to his post of head of the Department of Geography. This is the example of a simplicity. One thing very vividly, he kept his physical fitness at the foremost. He was always walking. When he was lecturing in the class, he was moving from one side to the other. He moved from his residence to the university Department of Geography on foot. It is just about 3 kilometers, coming and going on foot. He kept on walking in the class, and hardly some people knew him as sitting in the chair. So he was both physically aware and morally aware. So these 2 points I remember about him. As far as Dr. Babu is concerned, he was also a very simple person, and he used to mix with the students like friends. Whenever we saw him at a group, usually he was so his personality was so to say attractive or that people surrounded him and followed him with distance. When others were there in the group, more people were around him, listening to his talks. So he was so magnetic personality. He had such a magnetic personality. So, and he was a good teacher. In the class, he captivated the students in a very simple language. He used to deliver his lectures, and he was so simple that he mixed with people as friends. So these 2 persons were stalwarts, both Dr. Inayat Ahmed and Professor Ram Singh, and I pay my respects to them and hope that people will emulate their example as a teacher and as a human being. Thank you very much. For giving me the opportunity to meet you all whom I have not seen, they don't know me. So glad and I'm happy that I have been at a better height by being before this night. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your sharp comments and then appreciations to both the Ranchi University professors. It's an excellent words. And is there anyone who wishes to say something about the professors? If not, then probably I can invite Professor B.P. Devli Head Department of Geography of Sri Dev Suman University, Uttarakhand University, to propose the vote of thanks.
Now start.
Yeah. Yes.
Sir. Hello.
Yes. Devli, sir.
Now start.
Yes, yes. You can proceed, sir.
Sir, good evening, all of you. According to invitation of 14th episode of Founders and Makers of Modern Geography in India, first I salute to Dr. देवेंद्र प्रसाद सिंह जी को, जिनके द्वारा भारत में आधुनिक भूगोल के निर्माताओं पर रखी गई एपिसोड के अंतर्गत रांची विश्वविद्यालय के उन महान विभूतियों सरदे प्रोफेसर इनायत अहमद जी और सरदे प्रोफेसर आरपी सिंह जी को नमन करते हुए इस एपिसोड के अध्यक्ष सरदे प्रोफेसर RNP सिन्हा जी बड़ोदरा से काम में हृदय से आभार व्यक्त करता हूं। सर, आपने अपना अमूल्य समय देकर इस व्याख्यान माला से जुड़कर हम सबको अभिभूत किया। इस एपिसोड के चीफ गेस्ट सरदे प्रोफेसर PS फड़के जी मुंबई से तथा विशिष्ट गेस्ट प्रोफेसर MN कौल जी जम्मू से काम मैं हृदय से आभारी हूँ। आप दोनों लोगों ने आज के एपिसोड में समय दिया। प्रोफेसर AK भगवती जी व प्रोफेसर राणा प्रताप जी को भी मैं धन्यवाद देता हूँ। इस एपिसोड के कन्वीनर प्रोफेसर K कुमार स्वामी जी के अथक प्रयास हेतु बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। इस 14वें एपिसोड के विशेष वक्ता सर प्रोफेसर RK तिवारी व प्रोफेसर DP सिंह जी को मैं दिल की आंतरिक गहराई से धन्यवाद देता हूँ। आपने रांची विश्वविद्यालय के प्रोदाओं पर जो व्याख्यान दिया वह अविस्मरणीय व भारत के वर्तमान भूगोलवेताओं में भूगोल के प्रति नई जागृति का आगाज करता है। वास्तव में जिन लोगों ने भारत में आधुनिक भूगोल की नींव व उसका विस्तार किया, उनके प्रति इस प्रकार के व्याख्यान सच्ची श्रद्धा को प्रकट करते हैं। अंत में मैं डॉक्टर सरोज के सिंह, डॉक्टर कावेरी मैडम का, प्रोफेसर पारस राय जी का, डॉक्टर रामेश्वर प्रसाद सिंह जी का, डॉक्टर अमरीश कुमार राय जी का व उन समस्त विद्वतजनों का जिन्होंने आज के एपिसोड में भाग लिया, सभी को बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। धन्यवाद।
Okay, thank you very much for all the great geographers who participated in the conference. And now we are coming to the close, and now I request Professor Kaveri to give say the national anthem. That is the final stage. I request all the participants to stand up for this national anthem, because this is the respect we are giving to the nation, the great India. So all the participants to stand up, and then Professor Kaveri to proceed for the national.
Sir,
Yes, sir.
one more instruction.
Yes, sir.
You please also instruct people.
Okay. All the participants to stand up for this national anthem, because this is the last.
But keep mum.
Oh yeah. So please, others may not sing the song, sing the national anthem. Only Dr. Kaveri will sing the song, and others can keep the mute of the speakers.
Mute the audio.
Yeah. Okay. Please stand up, and then Dr. Kaveri will.
Thank you very much, sir. Now, जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता, पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड़ उत्कल बंगा, विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा चल जलधि तरंगा, तव शुभ नामे जागे, तव शुभ आशीष मांगे, गाहे तव जय गाथा, जनगण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे। थैंक यू।
भारत माता की
जय। Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Dr. Kaveri, for singing the national anthem in a perfect manner. And with the request of the chairman of this episode, the episode comes to the conclusion. And as pointed out by our organizers, the next episode will be on 10th and followed by 24th and of April. That's okay.